Hey, what's up everyone? John here, Chief Motivator over at Method 3 Fitness, and I'm back with another digital learning experience, and this is all about how to improve the way you eat. I'm excited to be joined by Miss Danielle Kutchuk, who is a certified holistic nutrition and health coach through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. Danielle, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. So good to be here.
And today we're going to be talking about how to power up your plate with all the right healthy foods that ultimately will help improve not just your longevity, but reduce disease prevention, correct?
Yeah.
Or allow you to have disease prevention. So, but before we dive into all that, what I wanted to do was, you have kind of a unique story as well that landed you into this field, right?
I do.
So can you start with that, and then we'll dive into the rest of it?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
Okay, so the way it started, essentially, so growing up, I grew up in Texas, which was rural when I got there at 5 years old, and became more suburban by the time I left at 25 or so. I did pretty normal upbringing there, normal by the book, meaning high school, college, get a job, an agency, that whole thing. So that lasted, I graduated in 2009, so it was right in the middle of the recession. I got super lucky and was able to work at my agency. So I stayed there and was just kind of, grinding it out. The way
Right, this is the marketing
people do
agency
it.
you said, right?
Yeah, it was a marketing agency.
Yep.
So you're grinding there. It's not a 9 to 5. It's like an 8 to 9.
A lot of hours, a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And so what transpired with that? I think that's what kind of got you on this.
Yeah, totally. So what happened is that all of a sudden during the recession, everyone who hadn't been at the company a year was laid off, and it was no questions asked, right? I was used to having healthcare and that kind of thing, and had no idea what to do actually for my body to help it stay healthy. So right after that happened, I became really, really sick and didn't know how to heal myself. I didn't have health insurance, and so I stayed sick for a long time until I just got tired of it. And there was one day I woke up and I thought, there's got to be another way. Like, people have healed themselves before conventional medicine, and maybe they weren't quite thriving yet, but they were healing themselves. So I just did a little research, having no idea what I would find. I didn't even know if there was an answer, but I thought there should be one. And the answer I found was so simple, and I was cured within a day or two. Just one substance. It was apple cider vinegar. Simple.
That is one of nature's little miracle cures there. Yeah.
Nature's miracle, for sure, one of them. And I was cured. So it just kind of woke me up to, well, if they didn't tell me this, because what I had always been told is if you get an infection, you take an antibiotic. It's that simple. There's no other option, and there doesn't need to be, this is it, right? So after that, it just got me on this road of questioning, what have I not been told and what do I not know? And so that set it off, and here we are 10 years later, and I'm now certified, thank goodness, and able to actually practice what I preach and bring this information to people. It's gone a lot further than apple cider vinegar since there.
Absolutely, which is fantastic. And I think, so full disclaimer, is we obviously, as we jump into more things on how to power up your plate, we're not here to give medical advice or diagnose any conditions, and everything we say is something to get you to at least ask questions like Danielle did, right? And it's because I think sometimes we are, no matter what it is, whether it's medical advice or fitness advice, we seek an expert and we just listen to them and that's it. And it's good to sometimes ask questions about the philosophy behind how that's going to help, whether it's medicine, antibiotics, or food, right? So that being said, apple cider was your thing that helped heal you. So what are some of these things then that you have found has helped people as they're on this journey to, could be losing weight, could be just better health, could be feeling better, or just having their maybe they have some gastrointestinal issues or things like that they deal with from time to time, which could be the food that they're eating, right? If you want to go into some of these things and that how we can power up their plate, whether it's improving longevity or just feeling better, right? Some things that you think that have worked that people can learn about.
Yeah, totally. So when you're looking at things to, first of all, help you feel better on a daily basis, but also to help you with your longevity, there are a couple things to consider. I kind of break it down into what do you do before and between meals, and what are you doing during your meal, right? So that's like the kind of on a day-to-day basis how you can look at it. So the first thing that a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know going into it, is this myth of the constant eating or snacking, right? So For some people, that's not a big deal, but for a lot of people, what that does is it taxes your system, right? So metabolizing your food is an energetically expensive process in your body. It takes a lot of energy. It's a process that if that's going on, other things are not happening, right?
Right.
Because you only
Sure.
have a certain amount of energy for whatever your body is doing at a given time. And for your partners too, a lot of it's going to be muscle repair. And we want to get them to that state where their body can be spending on that too. So a lot of that's going to have to do with when you're eating your meal, eating all the way. So there's a wonderful nutritionist that I love, a holistic nutritionist named Kelly LeVeque, who talks about eating to satiety. So she's done a lot of work in studying the hunger hormones in your body and what actually turns those off and makes you feel good and satiated without having to add anything to give you that like quick boost. So that's going to be like your pretzels and your cookies and your brownie that you crave every day at 2 p.m., right? That's how it goes. So between your meals, when you're eating, and we're going to talk about that later, what to put on your plate so that you feel like that. But just so your partners know, that's one really big thing that you can do when you're between meals, is to allow your body that time to relax and to detoxify, because it's not spending all its energy on digestion.
So don't keep snacking all the time. Don't eat like every hour on the hour, every 2 hours. And I think you're right. Some people, whether that's they read they should do that, or they just are habitual snackers, right?
Yeah.
That can be very taxing, on your system, like you said. I love what you said about, your body has only so much energy to put towards certain resources. It's trying to do things in your body. And if you're constantly eating, well, then that means it's diverting resources that could be needed elsewhere, right? Which is great. Okay, so extending the time in between eating, obviously per the individual, but just making sure you're not eating all the time. Also.
Just giving a little rest. So you want, hopefully what we're trying to do is help your blood sugar balance so that you can eat maybe every 6 hours or every 4 if that's where you need to start. And of course, anything like this, you start slow.
Right.
Just start slow. Start with 1 meal, and then you can take it further. You can do 2 meals the next time and 3 meals. So that's one thing. Another thing is hydration. You want to know a fun stat?
Yes.
So can you guess how many % of Americans are dehydrated?
Oh, geez. I'm going to guess a lot.
Or what
so
percent?
70%.
75.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, good.
Put you right on the spot. It's 75. Yeah. So that's a study done in 2013. It may or may not have changed since then. The point is, though, even in 2013, when Americans clearly knew about hydration, we're still dehydrated. So that dehydration, going back to kind of the last point, right? Allowing your body to rest and to detoxify and to continue on with the processes that it needs to be doing outside of digestion, you need water, right? Your cells are made of water. And so you need that water first so that electrical signals can conduct properly, and also so that you can get rid of waste, clear it out.
Sure.
And, a million other biological functions.
Yeah, right.
Scientifically, a million other
Is there, we have our philosophy on how we talk to people about water, but is there anything that you typically recommend, like where people should start or a good amount they should have?
What I do is I have a 32 ounce, just kind of like hydro flask, and I'll try to do that twice a day. And I know that's a lot for some people, but that's kind of how I gauge it, is have I filled that up once? I fill it up in the morning. Have I filled it up again during the day and finished it? We're good.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. And so for each individual that could vary, but kind of like the same thing with the meals, maybe, because I've had some people joke around like, John, I don't even know if I'm drinking like 16 ounces of water a day, right?
Yeah,
and
there
so,
are a lot of people like that.
Similar thing on, maybe we're not going to extend. If you're eating every hour, you're not going to jump to every 4 or 5 right off the bat, so you're going to extend it.
Slow. Same
Same thing with water,
exactly.
Starting at a good point where it's achievable, whatever the amount you're going to try to drink every day, and then increasing slowly from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Exactly. So if you have someone that says, I'm not sure if I'm drinking water, which actually is more common than you would think, I hear that a lot. Which is why you can also eat fruits that are really hydrating and things like that if you have somebody that's really not into just plain water. But what I would say is, if you're not sure, then before every meal, 15 minutes before, and you don't want to drink it while you're eating, which is we'll talk about that when we're talking about our plates, but 15 minutes before you eat, drink a glass of water. And if you have people that aren't sure if they're drinking any, that's 3 glasses a day that they probably weren't getting
Should
before.
ideally, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so it's a good place to start.
Beautiful. Okay, so we got some water. We've got some of the timing and kind of reducing or easing some of the energy expenditure for your body and digesting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the plate. I'm sure people are excited to talk about the plate. So what's happening there? Yep.
All right. So for the plates, what a lot of people learn when they first are looking at, even if you're doing a basic Google search on, what do I need on my plate, right? The most basic of basic is going to tell you that you need your macronutrients, right? Which is totally true. So the way that it's broken down is you have your macronutrients and you have your micronutrients. So macros are the ones that you need in large proportions, so hence macro. And then
those
micros
are our proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Is that safe to say? Okay, great.
Exactly.
Just making sure our audience is following along as we talk macros over here.
Yeah. And we'll break it down all the way to the plate level too for each of those. So yes, macros are protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And then micros, you need them in smaller portions, but that doesn't mean leave them out. And that is the case for a lot of people. Just to pull some more fun stats, if you're looking at how many Americans are getting their recommended micronutrient intake, it is less than 1%, and way less than 1%. It's like 0.15 or 0.2. Yeah. So if you're to round down, like in your elementary school class, rounding down to zero.
Okay, it's not looking good. All right, great.
It's not looking good. But the good thing is that they're all underneath our nose, right? Micronutrients are in mostly vegetables and fruits, and those are everywhere, and they're not hard to get, and they're delicious. So there's a lot of hope for this.
Yes,
and,
good.
And it's fun to do, right?
Yep.
And so why the micronutrients are important too is that they are what is going to prevent our long-term disease, right? So the macros are going to get you to survival level. They will help you
fuel your body, processes, getting certain things done. Yep.
Very, very important. It is important to survive. Thriving, though, comes from the micronutrients being added in there, too. So those are the things that are going to help prevent viruses. They can help prevent cancers. There's all sorts of research on what happens when you're getting the appropriate amount of micronutrients. So even things like leafy greens, for example, cruciferous vegetables, which are your broccolis, cauliflower, your cabbages, your bok choy, things like that. Those will specifically suppress genes that are cancerous genes, right? So if you have a genetic predisposition for a cancer, that gene can only be expressed if it is turned on in some way, right? They say turned on meaning replicated. That's what that means on a scientific level. But you can totally think of it as turning them on or off because it's super simple and it fairly well represents what's happening. So when you get the right amount of those micronutrients, let's say you do have steamed broccoli, 3 times a week or so, that gene can be suppressed, right? So it's just a beautiful way that your body is built, in that it is built to fight off these diseases, and all we need to do is give it the right nutrients to do so.
So what do you typically, so the importance then is obviously having a plate with certain macronutrients, but then obviously these micronutrients as well. Can you give some examples of what that would look like for people as they, okay, great.
Yeah, totally. So the way that I like to kind of build my powered up plate is that you start with veggies, right? So I like half of my plate to be veggies. It can be whatever you like. The whole point of this is that you want a wide variety in general. So maybe we'll just go through and we'll build one that I would eat on a normal basis. I've probably eaten it this week already.
Gotcha, perfect.
So what I like to do is I like to take kale and I will saute it in something simple. Avocado oil is a great one. I add in onions because that also has a certain reaction with the kale that releases another compound that is also anti-carcinogenic, right? So anti-cancer essentially.
And flavor, not to mention
delicious,
flavor.
Right?
Let's talk about that. So I know some of you might have automatically pressed, hopefully you're still watching because she said half your plate in vegetables. And again, I think it's starting where you're at.
Yeah.
It's ensuring that, Danielle can sit here and say she can eat half a plate of vegetables. She's a holistic, nutrition and health coach, right? So you may not start there, but it's just how can you make the baby steps to doing it, right? It may start with a quarter of your plate. I don't know.
Totally.
But even what she just did right there was she's sauteing it in avocado oil and some onions, and they give it some flavor. Because I know some of our clients like, I just don't like the taste of vegetables or this, or I hate X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
okay, there's a lot of vegetables to choose from. So if you don't like this one, that's okay. Let's explore the other ones, and then hey, maybe we'll come back to that, because are you sauteing in avocado oil, a high heat oil with onions? Maybe not. And that tastes really good. I can just speak from experience. That's delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
And I love what you said about you should go with what you want, because your body also has wisdom, right? So your body might know something that you might not even know, right? You might have a food sensitivity. So like my mother doesn't like onions. Turns out she has a food sensitivity to it.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
That's cool. If you don't like it, listen to your body.
Roll with it.
Roll with it. Find something you like, totally. And this should all
If
be
you don't like all vegetables, though, we may have to talk.
And then
that may not be a food sensitivity. That just may be you saying being a little bit picky. Yeah.
We'll talk about smoothies in that case.
Yeah. Okay. So half a plate in vegetables. Got it. Okay. Half a plate in vegetables, and then let's really build up this plate for them, so they really get a good visual of where they can take some of the strategy and things that we talked about high level and put it to the tactics, right? So they can actually implement. Yeah.
Put it on their plate.
Yep.
So you start with the vegetables. If you're starting with a quarter, that's cool too. Then you're going to add in your protein, right? If your protein can be cooked in fats, that's awesome. So a good example of that is going to be something like salmon maybe, and maybe you bake it in coconut oil at a lower temperature. And that's super simple, right?
Yeah.
You just take it out of the package, you put the coconut oil in there, you can sprinkle some lemon and salt and pepper.
Yep.
And that's it, yeah. So I like to do that. And then you want your fats in there, right? So fats are kind of sprinkled in there. You have already the coconut oil with the salmon, and hopefully you're cooking your veggies with a little bit of oil. I'm not even a big fan of just steamed veggies, right? That sounds boring, it's not fun, and it doesn't taste good. But also, if you don't add the fats, you're not going to absorb those nutrients anyway. So,
exactly, yeah. A lot of these vitamins are fat soluble,
Yeah.
which means that they need fat to actually get absorbed, is what Danielle's talking about. So when you cook it, some of those things, and then consume it, you're giving your body what it needs to actually absorb and utilize those nutrients.
Yep.
Great tip.
Yep, totally. So that actually, if you wanted to do just your bed of kale and put the salmon on top, you've actually already hit all of your micronutrient and macronutrient categories. So you have the protein in the salmon, you have fats 3 places. You have your fats in your salmon, coconut oil, and then in your avocado oil.
Right.
Another big one is fiber. That's really, really important just to make you feel satisfied, to help everything move through your digestive system, and to help digestive health. So fiber, luckily, is found in veggies.
Yep.
So we're good.
Ton of it in veggies.
Yeah, so we're good. If you want, you could sprinkle flax seeds on, but that's getting, if you're just starting, keep it so simple. And just go with your veggies, a really nice protein that you enjoy, and use fats throughout. You can put avocado in there too, and that wouldn't even be too much if you
And
did.
the carbohydrates are coming from?
You have carbs first in the veggies, right? Well, actually the carbs in this case are all in the veggies. And then I like to use carbs depending on your movement, right? So if you worked out that day, you might want to add a little more carbs because your muscles are going to want them to rebuild. So in that case, you would add something maybe like quinoa, maybe rice, something really simple that tasted good with it.
Great.
Yeah.
And so simple plate right there with some great salmon, a bed of kale, and some good quinoa or rice in that regard. And so to her point, if you didn't do a ton of activity and you don't need to replenish your glycogen levels in your muscles, maybe you don't need as much carbohydrates, right? I think it's always a quick, easy go-to for people, especially some of the squishier carbs or maybe the more processed crackers and stuff like that. So finding things that are easy. These days, I feel like there's a lot of those things like the quinoa or different types of like better grains that are out there that are very quick to make, right? I mean, some of them are already done for you. It's like heat and go type of thing. But so
5 to 15 minutes.
That's awesome. Any other, so maybe another power plate that you have in your head that you can talk about? Do you have another? Okay, great. Let's get one more in real quick.
Vegetarians?
We do.
Yes. All right, let's do a vegetarian one.
Perfect. Great.
Then everybody's covered.
We're going to wrap it up with that. We'll give them a good vegetarian option.
All right, so let's do a vegetarian one. I'm a huge fan of riced cauliflower. You can buy it frozen at Trader Joe's Organic.
Yes,
so
yes, you can.
You can, and it is life-saving. You can do the same thing with broccoli, right? So I love the frozen riced cauliflower. What I'll usually do with that, we'll make it vegan actually, go all the way. All right, so I like to do the riced cauliflower. That's like, you want to think of it like a rice bowl, like what you would get at Chipotle even. So you use the cauliflower as your base, and it's riced, and it has a really nice texture that feels like you're almost eating that.
Yep,
like
absolutely.
Rice.
Yeah.
So I like to take that. I like to, again, coconut oil or avocado oil, so I'll use that. I'll add in some spices just to taste, right? I like turmeric because it's anti-inflammatory, but you could use whatever you wanted. So usually do that. You can also buy a cashew cream sauce. So I use that to make kind of an Alfredo. So I'll take the cashew cream sauce. You can totally buy it pre-made, or you can make it yourself if you're into that. But buy it pre-made if you're just starting. So throw that in there. It almost makes like an Alfredo sauce. Then I like to top it with pine nuts and avocado. So you're getting your, yeah.
That sounds delicious.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Even for non-vegans, it's awesome.
And the key, from what you just said right there, I mean, honestly, the prep for that is done. There's a lot of done-for-you items. So I think sometimes as people are venturing into how to eat healthy, and that's one of the things we try to do at Method 3, is just help people try to find the quick wins, so that you're not just like stressed out about, it's going to take 4 hours of meal prep. And it's like literally the meal she just said, a vegan meal at that, with great fats, great proteins, and great vegetables, great fiber, literally might take you 10 minutes tops.
Yeah, if that.
If that,
really
right?
quick, it's
so,
usually lunchtime.
And there's tons of options out there when you look for healthy foods to power up your plate, right? She mentioned turmeric as a seasoning agent, right? Some people never even think of that. So it's just, again, exploring, asking questions. Danielle, this has been super insightful. I appreciate it. I hope everyone watching and our partners and other viewers got some great info out of this. If people want more information, we'll put your contact information below so they can contact you. Any other places they should do to get in touch with you or anything else?
So we'll put my contact information below, and I'll also be sharing a PDF that has some of my favorite recipes. So we'll do a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even a dessert in there, and then some kind of like quick go-to items. So all my info will be in that. You guys grab the PDF and just get started.
Way to over-deliver. I like it. So you guys are in for a treat, literally. We have a dessert in there. So that's it. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a blast.
So much,
until next time, guys, we will see you for another digital learning experience. And keep rocking.